because one of our guys, one of our researchers, John, went to this big libertarian convention in Washington, D.C., and he wrote me all weekend long. He's like, Glenn, this is great. These people are great. And then he started in on about half these people hate your guts. And I said, for what reason? For what reason?
1, 2, 3, 4. 2.
Kick it.
Let's make no mistake. Glenn Beck does some good, okay, by widening the people that are aware of this stuff. The problem is at key points, he says global warming's real, we need new taxes, banker bailouts are good, Ron Paul is bad. He does enough good stuff to get your confidence. It's like rat poison's 90% good food.
I'm a dope. I'm a rodeo clown. Ow! I'm a recovering alcoholic. I believe so deeply in our Constitution.
All efforts by the government to bail out private industry are unconstitutional.
I think the bailout is the right thing to do. You know that I am actually a libertarian at heart. The $700 billion that you're hearing about now is not only, I believe, necessary, it is also not nearly enough.
What you're about to hear is the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment.
But Glenn Beck is placed at a key juncture.
There was one guy last year that was Ron Paul.
When Ron Paul's about to win, he comes out and attack him. When other candidates that are pro-liberty, he comes out.
When you were on CNN, you would act like he was kind of crazy, kooky guy. And
I still act like he's crazy, kooky guy.
well,
And it's finally caucus day in Iowa. What is interesting to me is the rise of Ron Paul.
Here is the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment.
If you're Ron Paul, who's against one world government, do you take, 11 out of the 14 advisors, and they're all connected to George Soros?
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Well, folks, we are getting new hints that President Obama may be increasingly open to the idea of a brand new national sales tax on everything you buy. They call it a VAT, a value-added tax.
But in the scheme of things, I think it's fair to look at a value-added tax.
Will Republicans hand the left a big VAT victory? The subtitle reads, Mitt Romney won't rule out the possibility of imposing a tax. Dan Mitchell, the Cato Institute, joins us now.
You say that Americans should fight VAT to our last and dying breath.
Every candidate running for president should have to sign in blood that they will never allow this European tax system to destroy the America's fiscal future.
We can bring the country back. You have to have a national sales tax.
I actually agree with you. I want a 2% VAT. I want a 2% VAT.
I want a 2% VAT.
I am a rodeo clown, brother.
Value-added tax goes through absolutely everything.
Now, with conservatives like these, who needs Mao Zedong?
Just in case you've been watching all week and you haven't been frightened yet. Oh, you will be. You will be.
Get off my phone! Get off my phone! Get off my screen!
I heard what you were 9 years ago. It was all entertainment. This guy's a little hokey.
Oh my gosh, I'm so offended. I'm scarred for life.
A little prissy.
Thanks to oil of Olay, creamy, feminine skin.
A little Tinkerbellish.
So I thought they went nicely with my eye.
He doesn't even want to do radio and TV. He loves to go into the theater. And
you really do the AmeriCorps pledge. I think you have to be dressed like this.
But I kind of got an icky feeling.
Honey, no dessert. No dessert. You got to eat your green vegetables and eat everything on your plate.
But I admire your skill as the little thespian you are, prancing around on the stage like you like to do.
I think you have to stand up and take your pledge.
Oh, yes. Ooh, federal subsidies.
He was just getting his enormous multisyllabic word train chugging down the tracks.
Ooh, yeah.
I am an AmeriCorps member, and I will get things done. Edelweiss,
Beck's failure to retract global warming advocacy provokes online firestorm.
I'm a global warming believer. I don't think you are.
No, I'm not. No, hang on.
He says it isn't real on his TV show and radio show, and then a week later says it is real.
I was with you on global warming.
And I'm sick of double talkers.
You have to be a dummy if you don't look at the thermometer.
Yes.
And so he gets you emotionally invested in him, saying a lot of the right things, and at key points, flip-flops.
Okay,
That's what it
the thermometer was showing that it was going up.
It's delusional, because people invest in Beck, and they don't want to admit they've been conned.
You put entertainment and you put the truth, you fuse them together, people will watch. I just signed a $50 million contract.
My eyes are getting used to it.
Have you seen the ratings at 5 o'clock?
Are you ready to be that person that you were that day?
Have you seen the ratings at 5 o'clock?
After 9/11 on 9/12.
Have you seen the ratings at 5 o'clock?
I told you for weeks, you're not alone.
You know, it took me about a year to start hating the 9/11 victims' families.
I lost my husband.
My son.
My uncle.
My nephew. September 11th, 2001.
But when I see, 9/11 victim family, on television or whatever, I'm just like, oh, shut up.
Most people don't know a third tower fell that day.
The government says fire brought it down.
The collapse of World Trade Center 7 was primarily due to fires.
I'm so sick of them because they're always complaining.
I, along with 1,400 other architects and engineers,
have found the government's conclusion to be physically impossible.
Impossible.
We need the truth about what happened that day.
Go to rememberbuilding7.org.
I didn't think I could hate victims faster than the 9/11 victims.
I wonder why I don't have any ratings.
Maybe because you're not covering anything that anybody wants to watch.
Ow!
Rick, we're trying. I think the bailout is the right thing to do. A VAT tax. I was for the Patriot Act, but I am more and more a libertarian every day.
Hundreds of publications in the last year and a half kept saying Glenn Beck is riffing off of Alex Jones. Glenn Beck is copying Alex Jones.
It is this global government structure. We want to establish a global government system. These are a group of people that believe in global government.
Because we know that there is a move towards a global government. Bringing us into a one-world government.
A one-world government, a new world order.
And for many years, I've been exposing the criminal activities of the global elite, otherwise known as the New World Order. Also known as the New World Order. Also known as the New World Order.
They came up with the idea of the Council of Foreign Relations.
It started something called the Council of Foreign Relations.
The Council of Foreign Relations.
I'm here to ask you about the Council on Foreign Relations, okay?
The Council on Foreign Relations.
This in my hands is yet another piece of legislation, except this is global legislation. This is the Framework Convention on Climate Change from the United Nations.
The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change.
And the Fed, because that's where the money printing is happening. Printing your own money and printing up money.
How much money we're printing at the Federal Reserve.
Greenspan in the Federal Reserve, who set the monetary policy that is now could cause a major depression. It's his fault for printing $5 trillion.
Obama announced plans for a national ID card.
Having a national ID card worn around your neck, as Gephardt is now proposing,
is because those pushing globalism and government control on a global level have mastered the art of hiding it in plain sight. We are going to uncover the truth that has been hidden in plain sight.
It's hidden in plain view. Little things hidden in plain view.
hidden in plain view.
Hidden in plain view.
They refer to it as sustainable development.
Sustainability. Watch out for that word.
State officials have identified and listed risky activities for kids' kickball. Capture the flag. Red Rover, send someone right over. And of course, dodgeball.
I'm talking about how they've banned dodgeball in most schools, banned running or playing at recess, training us to be little jellyfish.
Little chips that are injected underneath your skin. Digital Angel has the RFID chip that is injected.
He's the chip under your daughter's skin in the near future. Microchip population, Artie Muller-Rolls rolling out the microchips for humans.
All the paths, time after time, really led to one man, George Soros, who's the puppet master. George Soros.
George Soros, foreign currency speculator and UN supporter.
You start to get into some of the eugenics ideas.
But he was also a strong believer in eugenics. This book is a book on eugenics.
Virginia governor apologizes for eugenics law. By the way, they already have eugenics. They're eugenicists.
Floated around population control ideas. He advocated population control.
See, the United Nations thinks that population control is a good thing, where they're calling for an 80% world population reduction.
You need to know the roots of Planned Parenthood and Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger, she was a eugenist. Eugenics, by the way, is what ended up as the Holocaust.
Margaret Sanger, you know, this big liberal, gave awards to Hitler, got awards from Hitler. Margaret Sanger gave awards to Hitler, got awards from Hitler. They're the people that sterilize hundreds of thousands of women forcibly. And
let's sterilize people. Among the techniques he considered were sterilants.
Oh, yeah, we did sterilize hundreds of thousands of women, stopping people's reproductive rights, sterilizing them.
He also said maybe forced abortions would be good. On forced abortions, and
they said they should check fetuses in the womb and make you have abortions. And
if you want to have a baby, you have to have a license.
Registered births already have that. Licensed births, you won't be allowed to have children unless they say so.
Land grabs are where we at today. Here's the latest land grab.
This giant land grab. They are for land grabs.
The military assumed the role of a police in Sampson, Alabama. It's a big violation of our Constitution. Oh, well, they'll never put troops on the ground. Posse comitatus, you know.
Get us used to troops on the streets. Saying we need to go ahead and get rid of posse comitatus and troops on the streets. It's how they're getting rid of posse comitatus. And
I've asked you before, and I'll ask you again. Do not take my word for anything. Make sure you do your own homework. And then do your own homework. Don't take my word for it. You do your own homework. Research yourself. Do not believe anything that I tell you because I tell it to you.
Again, don't believe what I say. Document and research the different things you're about to see. And I challenge you to research the information you'll see. Again, just check out the evidence for yourself. Check out the information for yourself. Go and get all this information for yourself.
Where they are now voting on whether or not to get rid of the Electoral College.
They want a way to get rid of the Electoral College.
Before 1913, U.S. senators were appointed by the state legislature.
Used to, we appointed our senators from the state.
The 17th Amendment changed that.
They had the 17th Amendment on that.
Like all bad things, it started in 1913.
1913, right after they gave us the Federal Reserve and the income tax.
They wanted to make sure that the states didn't have the direct representation.
So that they can have the last link of states' rights gone.
The far left needs the violence. This is the strategy of the radical leftists. They create chaos.
You create a crisis, they create the crises. To create a crisis.
The government, who they're in league with, can swoop in and fix the problem to save you.
They pose as our saviors. Who gets to be our saviors?
And I fear an event. I fear a Reichstag moment.
Like Hitler burnt the Reichstag. Thing like Hitler burning the Reichstag. It's simple. Why did Hitler blow up the Reichstag?
Obama needs a similar kind of event. Oh, like Oklahoma City. They are setting up another Oklahoma City. They are claiming that one is coming, and they've already marked the one who caused it.
Then we'll also visit Oklahoma City and talk about what really happened there, how the government was involved.
You know, what's a few hundred men, women, and children when you could win back the House in 2012?
Even the devil speaks truth from time to time.
That he doesn't just steal the information, he then degrades it. He then poisons it.
All Islamic governments would unify under this caliphate, one new world order.
Mix into it pro-war, pro-torture, Jack Bauer's a hero.
You probably heard that President Bush yesterday acknowledged for the very first time the existence of secret CIA prisons. Thank God. It's these types of things, the stuff we never usually hear about unless we read the New York Times, that actually makes me feel more secure. I want a Jack Bauer out there. I love seeing cops doing bag checks on subway stations. I love seeing cops doing bag checks on subway stations. What we're talking about is waterboarding, and whether or not you're morally in favor of waterboarding or not. It is a far cry from torture.
And it's going to take somebody who sits in front of Congress who's not afraid of them anymore and does what Jack Bauer did, and that is, yes, I did torture, and I'm proud of it.
Hurry up! We've got World War III to fight. Now we have no longer any other options but to go in to Iran. Iran has long been the puppet master in the Middle East. You don't have to take my word for it. Just watch any episode of Law and Order. If they take over, if the barbarians storm the gate and take over the Middle East, this is what I'm thinking at 5 o'clock in the morning. We're going to have to nuke the whole place. We're going to have to nuke the whole place. That would be the most overused phrase in my administration. What do you mean we're out of missiles? You can call it a new world order or a caliphate.
He's taken all of my points and twisted it around.
If you don't have all of the truth, it ends up being a lie.
And he is as phony as a $3 bill.
You are being manipulated.
And I've seen him do a lot of bad things, like supporting the Patriot Act, supporting the banker bailout, demonizing Ron Paul.
Look what happened in Missouri with the Tea Party. When Barack Obama first got in, they said that the Tea Party and anybody who voted for Ron Paul was a dissident.
Do you remember that thing that came out, that report that came out from St. Louis that said that Tea Party goers are terrorists? If you're a Ron Paul supporter, you got a Don't Tread on Me flag, and you're at a Tea Party, you could be a terrorist. That was the report.
So if you had the Gadsden flag,
you
fell into that category. If you were a returning veteran, you were potential and deserved the extra scrutiny.
I mean, they're already doing this, and the media is already laying that groundwork.
On this program, we talk a lot about the foreign threats. Maybe tonight we should spend some time on the growing domestic one. As I told you last week, Ron Paul raised over $4 million in one day. His supporters raised the cash on November the 5th to commemorate Guy Fawkes. This guy was a British terrorist. Paul's supporters called the donations, and I'm quoting, a money bomb. You raise money however you want, as long as you're not blowing other people up.
Ron Paul wants to bomb us with a money bomb. He's dangerous. His followers want to blow things up.
Guy Fawkes, as I understand it, he is basically an old-timey Timothy McVeigh.
Totally in bed with the Islamo-fascists.
The Ron Paul Revolution. I think it's meant to be a catchy slogan, but I fear some of his fringe supporters are taking the word revolution too literally.
When Ron Paul had a real chance of winning, and when the media did hit pieces on him, you waded in with the most vicious attacks.
Ron Paul. I think Ron Paul is a dangerous man. Except for Ron Paul, all of them understand what's going on here. All of them. I don't agree with Ron Paul on everything, not by a long shot.
Glenn Beck, we played the clip earlier of you saying we've got to support the banker bailout.
I think the bailout is the right thing to do.
Pat Buchanan wasn't supporting it.
I'm for the bailout bill.
Lou Dobbs wasn't supporting it.
It is going to cause us great pain if we don't have it.
But you went on TV and supported it.
He's reminded us over and over again that President Bush was in office when TARP bailout happened. Well, we were all against that. Well, he says, I'm going to get every penny back from those greedy bankers. And most people cheer, as I do. I didn't want them to get the money in the first place. Bush started the bailouts. Yes, he did. Hated him for it. I will always tell you the truth, even when it hurts me personally. Here's the problem. I mean, everybody will say, oh, that Glenn Beck, he's a conservative. He just loved the Bush administration. No, I didn't. I did say the same things about George W. Bush. I did complain about his out-of-control spending. I did complain about his abandoning free market principles to save the free market system. I did complain constantly. 11,687. That is the number the Dow Jones closed at yesterday. That number is the highest ever. Our budget deficit has actually shrunk by 22.3% since last year. The economy is in fine shape.
These people. Two things here. This is why I like George W. Bush. This is why I like George W. Bush.
This is why I like George W. Bush.
President Bush is a man who personally feels the pain of every lost soldier.
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere.
He feels the pain of every wounded hero, every lonely, grieving parent this war has caused.
Nope, no weapons over there.
But above all, I can tell you that the president has incredible passion and resolve.
Maybe under here.
He is so focused and confident. He's confident that the military he loves so much, the soldiers that he thinks of as his own family, I'm not kidding you. I have to tell you, I was just in the Oval Office 2 weeks ago, and there is a painting, you know what that painting, that space is in the Oval Office, where it is the one that the president says I have to model myself after. It's Abraham Lincoln. I think he is modeling himself now after Abraham Lincoln. And I think he is modeling himself after Lincoln.
Good morning, Glenn. How are you making the parallel between Batman and George Bush?
I find it hard to believe that somebody can't make the parallel if you've seen this.
When George Bush, they say that, you know, he's a cowboy and he's got kind of that nervous twitch to him.
That's right.
And I like our enemies thinking that guy might just push a button.
We need a little more Kim Jong-il in the White House. We really do.
We do. August 22nd. It is the day that Israel might be wiped off the map, leading to all-out Armageddon. I wasn't predicting Armageddon today, even though I did order a cake.
I've got clip after clip of Fox News and Glenn Beck saying, arrest 9/11 truthers, they're dangerous, they're terrorists, taser them.
Any of these 9/11 truthers, who I've been telling you for years, are dangerous.
These truthers are exactly the kind of people who want to rock this nation's foundation, tear us apart. Are one of the groups that I've been warning about for a very long time, of these 9/11 truthers. This is the kind of group that a Timothy McVeigh would come from.
Listen to this snake, the way he says 9/11 truth is in the White House and is going to kill Barack Obama.
He has invited 9/11 truthers into the White House. He is in danger.
Jerome Corsi is the author of the New York Times bestseller, The Late Great USA.
Dr. Corsi, thanks for coming on with us.
Alex, always a great pleasure to be with you.
9/11, you said you've been investigating it.
The government's explanation of the jet fuel fire is not a sufficient explanation. Now the 9/11 Commission's got a problem.
Jerome, I know we're out of time. Can I ask you to write a special thing maybe for tomorrow's newsletter? Michael Scheuer is the former head of the CIA's bin Laden unit.
Was the 9/11 Commission report a whitewash, as Colonel Schaefer says?
It was a whitewash and a lie from top to bottom.
G. Edward Griffin, he is the author of The Creature from Jekyll Island, which is a book you must read.
The FBI and the intelligence agencies of the federal government had advanced knowledge of this attack, but did nothing to stop it. They needed the boogeyman. They needed Osama bin Laden.
If you know anything about me personally, you know I'm a big fan of the group Muse, and I listen to Muse when I'm trying to be creative. Their words are brilliant. They are so far ahead of everybody else. Matthew Bellamy is a genius.
We're talking to the lead singer, Matt Bellamy of Muse. Give us your take on 9/11 and 7/7.
Well, I agree with you. Your theory on false flag operations. I mean, so really, I think I kind of agree with you on the September 11th.
I'm Judge Andrew Napolitano filling in for Glenn this week.
You brought it up with Geraldo Rivera, who says he is concerned about Building 7. What do you think of 7?
It's hard for me to believe that it came down by itself.
Judge Napolitano, he's a Fox News senior judicial analyst.
9/11 truther Andrew Napolitano.
He is one of the smartest and most reasoned and best Americans I know.
I think 20 years from now, people will look at 9/11 the way we look at the assassination of JFK today. It couldn't possibly have been done the way the government told us.
Agree with that. You the replacement for me at 5 p.m. I love you. you have taught me much.
9/11 Truth started the Tea Parties. That's on record. They energized Ron Paul's campaign. They had the first Tea Parties. And Beck just came in and took it over and said it's now called the 9/12 movement, not the 9/11 Truth movement. Do you see how sick that is?
This is the 9/12 Project.
Are you ready to be that person that you were that day after 9/11?
Remember that day after 9/11, how you felt. Yeah, you were ready to nuke countries, give up all your rights and freedoms, and blow out the budget for empire.
My gosh, we were wide awake after 9/11.
It's about following that neocon agenda.
Our choice is clear. It is either kill or be killed.
I am more libertarian today than I was 4 years ago.
When you watch Beck, he really is a master of manipulation.
Tonight, our pal Glenn Beck has been very busy down in Texas, and now he says he's rebranding his media company as a libertarian operation.
I believe the libertarian movement could have their seat put back by the table.
The growing segment is the libertarian movement.
He loves conning people, laughing for a month, building up the audience, getting the patriot audience whose money he wants, whose time he wants, but who he hates.
You libertarians who are you're Nazis.
Now, libertarians are like, you're not libertarian. Well, I fail to see the litmus test here.
The fascist libertarians that you have to agree with absolutely everything. You are more fascist than anybody in the Republican Party.
This year, Glenn Beck said he's a libertarian. Glenn Beck? He supported the Patriot Act, warrantless wiretapping. And at the Republican primary, his candidate was the anti-libertarian Rick Santorum.
If there is one guy out there that is the next George Washington, the only guy that I could think of is Rick Santorum.
And why Santorum?
Well, that one was because I believe that he was the only one out there that really kind of understood the war that this government was waging on
Senator Santorum voted for the Patriot Act, for an expansion of Medicare, and for raising the debt ceiling by trillions of dollars.
Senator Rick Santorum from Pennsylvania may just be the Winston Churchill of our day.
One of the criticisms I make is to what I refer to as more of a libertarianish right.
The libertarian view is, isolationist from a national security point of view.
I don't pick or choose or back any presidential nominees.
I am throwing my support behind Rick Santorum now.
I don't pick or choose or back any presidential nominees.
Please win, Rick. Please.
Rick, we're begging. I came on your radio show, and you said, now, I said, I'm going to ask you 30 questions. But I gave answers to all 30, and then you finished. And then you finally said, I want to kiss you in the mouth. That's what you said.
Santorum once held his nose and voted to fund abortions, and Romney once openly and gleefully endorsed them.
I believe that abortion should be safe and legal in this country.
Mitt Romney was the best candidate we have run since Ronald Reagan.
I think Mitt Romney has a lot in common with your dad, 1976. Do you feel that way at all?
No, I don't. No, I don't. Ronald Reagan was so consistent over the years.
And I think this is the guy, this is the mechanic that can fix our finances. He's the guy who can fix the engine of our economy. I believe that with everything in me.
If it's between Obama and Romney, there isn't all that much difference.
The defense he makes of Romneycare could basically be a defense of Obamacare.
And I welcome you to the first of the 2012 presidential debates.
And the best course for health care is to do what we did in my state.
Last night, you saw somebody who took the stage that appeared to me to be George Washington.
Mitt Romney is obviously the choice of the Republican establishment.
He is not a politician. He is a man that I would strive to be like.
Those are the folks who brought us TARP and stimulus, wars fought on credit cards, federal agents raiding their own search warrants, and the federal government taking over education.
In 2 weeks' time, America goes to vote for the next president of the United States.
Mitt Romney believes in all these things, but here's the crusher. So does President Obama. There's not a dime's worth of difference.
The American people have a very, very clear choice.
Mitt Romney might as well be Barack Obama on everything from warfare to welfare.
If you want a reason to vote for Mitt Romney, here it is. He knows what's going on with the Federal Reserve, and he is warning us.
Should the chairman of the Federal Reserve be appointed again?
You know, I think he's doing a good job. I think he's doing a good job.
I am going to vote for this guy.
But look, I'm not going to spend my time going after Ben Bernanke. I'm not going to take my effort and focus on the Federal Reserve. There is a rumbling in the countryside that the government should shrink and live within its means. And Mitt Romney and Rick Santorum are not going to make that happen. Enter Congressman Ron Paul. He's the only Republican candidate for president who truly will shrink the government.
Ron Paul people, I have had it up to here.
Many times he sounds more like Al-Qaeda's PR department than, somebody running for the president of the United States.
A decade of that newsletter that he ran. What Ron Paul wrote yesterday sounds more like the ramblings of Code Pink, the new Black Panthers, or the Westboro Baptist Church. I can't decide which one you've gained a membership in, maybe all of them.
I was wondering if you've seen any of the stuff that Glenn Beck has been doing, where.
But he's on occasion is a demagogue,
Oh, sure. To religious fanatics that are decapitating people. Shoot the Jews.
They want something so horrific where they are raping our children, killing them, torturing them, stuffing them out the windows.
Shut up!
That George Bush's agenda in Iraq is not worth the money.
You're dead. You're dead. Or you're dead. Kill me now, it would be a blessing. Israel, dead.
You're a Jew. You're dead.
They hate them and they'll kill all the Jews. Where's my monkeypox? Bullet train coming really fast. You promised me monkeypox. Really fast. Mountain Dew and Cheetos.
On the end of the machetes that Islamicists are decapitating people with.
Oh, the humanity.
This is evil. This is evil.
Chugga chugga choo choo.
He has been pretty discourteous.
He comes off as kind of post-mail.
Prime news on CNN Headline News, now at 6 o'clock Eastern. Her show started tonight, just like this one.
Little nasty jokes, a lot of sexual stuff.
Think you ever just pictured Ted Kennedy naked?
But I read a news report, and who knows if it's true, the media lies so much, that Glenn Beck once had another host that worked at the same station as him decades ago, and the guy went to another station and was married, and they were competitors then, and she had a miscarriage, and reportedly he's admitted to this. I haven't seen that, so I can't vouch for it, but that he called up and said, I'm glad your wife had a miscarriage.
And we're speaking with Andrew Breitbart, of course, is about Glenn Beck and the recent events that has sort of created this latest explosion of anger toward Glenn Beck for all of his misdeeds over the past.
You're saying Glenn Beck's a coward, Glenn Beck's a liar, and you're saying that Glenn Beck steals material from people?
Oh, yes. I mean, this is well documented, and whenever he does it, he never answers to the charges. He's a coward.
My only painful thing is hearing something, him reading word for word InfoWars articles, then telling his listeners don't trust InfoWars.
Even in the Acorn thing, he was lying. He wasn't taking credit. I was writing letters to Joe Carey, his producer at the time, saying, wait a sec. You're not giving credit on the air.
In his mind, it was take Breitbart stuff and don't credit it, and simultaneously try to destroy him, and then a month later create a replica website using people that he's hired away from Breitbart's site.
We've confirmed that big sponsors that are our sponsors, their outfit goes and tries to get them and say, we'll give you a better deal if you don't be with Alex, you don't sponsor Alex Jones. When somebody's taking your research and your terms and your promotions and almost everything you do and mixing it around with Oprah Winfrey in a box and shaking it up and then trying to knock you out, man, that is really creepy.
You know, Alex Jones, you piece of garbage.
And that's what imposters do.
He's a snake. Everybody in the business knows that he's a snake.
There is something diabolical. There is something just truly demonic about Glenn Beck.
You ever wonder how the German military, how the German people, they got this. Now, if you're handed that hat and it's got the skull and crossbones on it, don't you look at it and go, and on a second thought, I might be on the wrong side. Doesn't that just scream wrong side? Wrong side?
canceled.